Imagine this, what if Vladimir Putin's gaze fixates on Warsaw next, turning Poland's cozy streets into a battlefield strewn with echoes of gunfire and the acrid smell of burning metal? Could Russia's colossal might steamroll straight into the heart of Europe, or would Warsaw's defenders rise like an unstoppable tide, turning the Kremlin's dreams into dust? Let's dive into the nightmare scenario of a 2026 clash between Russia and Poland, where bravery clashes with brutal odds. To set the stage, we've explored how Ukraine isn't Moscow's sole prey, with the Kremlin's ambitions eyeing neighboring lands like Poland as prime targets. Warsaw has fortified its barricades over years, boosting arms and security, yet whispers linger. Is Poland armored enough against an onslaught? Picture armored columns rumbling through frost-kissed fields, fighters roaring overhead amidst the thunder of explosions. The iron fist of Russian tanks might crush cities like Warsaw unscathed, or falter amid guerrilla shadows, mirroring Ukraine's bloodied fields. Intriguingly, predicting such mayhem defies crystal balls, with endless variables twisting like a snake in the grass. Yet, peering through the fog with data as our torch, we gauge the scales of supremacy. Fixate on raw might, troops, tanks, jets, missiles, and Poland's ledger dims fast. From global firepower's vault, scoring 145 nations annually, Russia stands joint second strongest globally, shoulder to shoulder with China, trailing only Uncle Sam. Poland lags at 21st, edging Taiwan and Vietnam, but trailing Ukraine, Egypt, Australia. Dig deep, and Russia's vast expanse shines, larger populace, bulging arsenals, a fat budget, no shock at triumphs in key metrics. On manpower, despite Ukraine's grinder claiming over 1 million souls, Moscow fields 1.3 million active troops, 2 million reservists poised like coiled springs. Add more than 1 million youths hitting service age yearly, a 140 million strong population, with over 46 million ready for the call. Warsaw counters with a leaner crew, just over 200,000 active, 350,000 reservists, the clip of boots on parade. Close to 500,000 reach duty age annually, a 38 million folk, 15 million combat fit. But Poland surges forward. In early 2025, Prime Minister Donald Tusk unveiled a bold forge, mandatory drills for men, optional for women volunteers. They aim to swell ranks to 500,000 active and reserves combined, millions trained to clutch a rifle or decipher orders. Still dwarfed by Russia's hordes, yet Poland crafts a resilient shield. Soldiers pulse as an army's heartbeat, but hardware shields them like iron skin. On terra firma, statistics crown Russia a behemoth, even after Ukraine's meaty toll on tanks, vehicles, gear. Dwarfing peers, it hoards thousands more tanks, tens of thousands of armored beasts. Artillery rains heavier, self-propelled and towed systems barrage afar, thousands of mobile rocket launchers versus Poland's under 200. The sky beckons war's next act, Russia flaunting over 4,000 aircraft, 800-plus fighter jets, hundreds of transports, 1,600 helicopters, over 550 attack choppers. Poland's wing clips shorter. Under 500 total birds, dozens of jets, over 200 helicopters. If war ignites, land and air would rage fiercest, but Russia's Baltic fleet lurks, vessels from St. Petersburg and Kaliningrad probing Poland's coasts. Underwater depths tilt too. Russia's navy, among Earth's largest, boasts over 400 ships, 60-plus subs, over 80 corvettes, scores of patrol craft, frigates, destroyers. Poland's flotilla, lean despite investments, totals around 60, void of heavy destroyers or giants. Raleigh, Russia lords over Poland in force, giants, jets, all. A vast realm funding a monumental host, enduring economic wounds and Kievan losses as a superpower. But warfare dances beyond digits, as Ukraine's saga proves. Numbers don't decree winners, smaller forces often upend titans historically. Beyond stats, the duel evens sharper. Ukraine's quagmire weakened Russia profoundly, for years of attrition. Losses aren't mere scraps, the core rots. Elite warriors who stormed in 2022, lifelong devotees bleeding for the motherland, lie wounded or extinguished. Moscow can summon fresh meat, mobilizing hundreds of thousands if dire. Yet quality decays, recruits now lack honed skills, zeal, peak vigor. Signing up for Donetsk or Luhansk yields not seasoned vets, but novices, ailing souls, convicts shackled to the fray. Facing this ragged army, Poland's compact might shines. Since Ukraine's invasion, Warsaw plotted shrewdly, arming deeply through training waves for millions, arming every adult to grasp a rifle if doom calls. A 40,000 volunteer territorial defense force stands guard, plus regional stalwarts, trained and fervent. Ukraine bled Russia's stores dry, forcing desperate digs into Soviet tombs, rusty T-62s from 1961, ancient T-55s predating 1950s. Modern T-90M tanks linger, but war's pinch and factory strain curb output. Russia boasts tank volume, but flaws mar designs, unfit for today's clashes. A Warsaw thrust exposes cracks in quantity versus finesse. What unforeseen hijinks lurk in this powder keg? Would allies intervene, raining jets like angry hornets? Or does Poland's home turf trap invaders in ambushes, their engines sputtering in mud-choked lanes? The ticking clock of 2026 teases explosive surprises at every turn. Russia boasts a military force that towers over Poland in sheer size, population, and resources. Even after suffering heavy losses in Ukraine, Russia maintains an active duty force of approximately 1.3 million soldiers, with an additional 2 million reservists poised for deployment if necessary. Every year, over 1 million more individuals reach military age in Russia, supporting a population exceeding 140 million, with more than 46 million deemed fit for service. Poland, on the other hand, fields a much smaller group, just over 200,000 active personnel, with 350,000 reserves. Nearly 500,000 Polish citizens annually turn 18 and become eligible for military service. The country's total population exceeds 38 million, with more than 15 million fit for duty. However, Poland is actively expanding its military forces. Early in 2025, Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced a bold plan: all Polish men would undergo military training, and women could volunteer. The target is to grow the army to 500,000 active members, including reserves, creating a larger pool of trained personnel ready for any threat. While this effort narrows the gap, it's still not enough to match Russia's manpower dollar for dollar. Yet, numbers aren't everything in warfare. The real question remains: can Poland stand against a colossal foe armed with overwhelming firepower? In the realm of advanced weaponry and vehicles, Russia's advantage is staggering. Its army historically ranks among the world's strongest, boasting thousands of tanks, many of which remain operational despite losses, and tens of thousands of armored vehicles. Its artillery arsenal is equally impressive, with countless self-propelled and towed systems capable of unleashing devastating barrages from afar. On the skies, Russia commands over 4,000 aircraft, including more than 800 fighter jets, hundreds of transport planes, and thousands of helicopters, both attack and utility. The noise of engines roaring, the smell of jet fuel in the air, the tactile vibrations of departing aircraft, all hint at Russia's dominance in aerial power. Meanwhile, Poland's air force is modest: fewer than 500 aircraft, a handful of fighter jets, and just over 200 helicopters. The difference is stark: Russia's air dominance could reshape battlefields long before the first shot is fired. At sea, the disparity becomes even more apparent. Russia's navy ranks among the world's largest, with over 400 vessels, including more than 80 submarines, frigates, destroyers, patrol ships, and dozens of advanced corvettes. Its submarines, silent and deadly, could threaten Polish coastlines from afar. Poland's naval strength is minimal, roughly 60 vessels, lacking the powerful warships needed to challenge the Kremlin's fleet. The waters may look calm, but beneath the surface, the battle for dominance is already brewing. Despite Russia's massive arsenal and seemingly unstoppable military machine, the battlefield is filled with uncertainties. Experience in Ukraine has revealed vulnerabilities: rusty tanks from Soviet-era storages, outdated weapon systems, and overextended logistics. Modern tanks like the T-90M are available but produced in limited numbers due to economic strain and overwhelmed infrastructure. These vehicles, once symbols of Russian might, now face obsolescence with design flaws that could prove fatal in modern combat scenarios. In a hypothetical conflict with Poland, would these outdated machines even have a fighting chance? The numbers suggest power, but their quality remains questionable. Russia's military machine, though vast, is not invincible. A war would not be decided solely by size and firepower but by strategies, training, and the ability to adapt amid chaos. The question lingers, with each passing day, is Russia's colossal strength beginning to show cracks? Or does its overwhelming force still spell disaster for any nation daring to challenge it? Russia's military strength far surpasses Poland's in raw numbers and equipment. Yet, the reality of warfare is far more complex than statistics alone suggest. Imagine the deafening roar of missile launchers, the smell of burnt fuel filling the air, and the tactile roughness of cold steel tanks. Could size guarantee victory when the battlefield is unpredictable? Russia boasts over 4,000 aircraft, fighters, transport planes, attack helicopters, overwhelming Poland's 500 planes. The sound of engines overhead, the whine of missiles slicing through clouds, paints a stark picture of imbalance. Meanwhile, Russia commands a navy of more than 400 vessels, including 60 submarines, capable of striking from afar. Their fleet patrols the Baltic Sea, ready to unleash chaos on Poland's northern coast. In comparison, Poland's small navy of just 60 ships would struggle to match such firepower, lacking destroyers or major warships to counter the Kremlin's fleet. What if a conflict erupted? The skies would turn into a battlefield of deafening jets and ominous drone-like buzzing. Land combat would be fierce, with Russian tanks deploying across borders, but Poland isn't unarmed. Its forces are rapidly expanding, training thousands of soldiers in modern warfare. Still, can sheer numbers, tanks, jets, missiles, truly tip the scales? Or will Ukraine's ongoing conflict reveal a hidden truth? Behind the apparent supremacy, cracks emerge. Russia's military, despite its towering presence, reveals signs of fatigue and overstretched supply lines. Its once mighty forces are now plagued by outdated equipment. Rusty tanks pulled from archives, and a battered air force struggling to maintain air superiority. The question remains, in a war of attrition, could Poland's motivated, well-trained reserves, backed by strategic alliances, turn the tide? Or will Russia's colossal arsenal crush all resistance? As Moscow's engines roar louder, the battlefield's true story plays out in shadows, strategies, and human resilience. A story where numbers tell part of the tale, but unseen factors could change everything. The tension rises as both sides prepare, each with hopes of victory, each haunted by the specter of defeat. Will Russia's overwhelming might dominate? Or does the true strength lie in Poland's unwavering determination to defend its homeland? The final chapter is unwritten, and the world watches with bated breath. The might of a superpower with staggering firepower is undeniable. Yet, history teaches us that numbers alone do not guarantee victory. Smaller armies have defied the odds time and again, outmaneuvering much larger foes. As we analyze these two military forces more deeply, the picture becomes surprisingly balanced. The impact of the ongoing Ukraine conflict has deeply weakened the Russian military. If the Kremlin decided to invade Poland in 2026, it would come after 4 brutal years of warfare with Kiev, an exhausting, grinding conflict that has taken its toll. During this war, Russia hasn't just experienced battlefield losses, it has transformed into a noticeably weaker force. Many of its top soldiers, the experienced veterans who led the charge when Vladimir Putin launched the invasion in 2022, are no longer in their prime. Countless dedicated fighters have either been wounded or killed in action. Their sacrifice was immense, men who had devoted their lives to duty, willing to risk everything for their homeland. Now, the army's elite are scarred, fewer in number, and battle-hardened in name only. The Kremlin could muster more troops at will, mobilize hundreds of thousands, even millions, but the quality of recruits has diminished. Recent conscripts are often inexperienced, poorly trained, and lacking motivation. The professional officer corps that once fueled the army has been decimated by ongoing war, leaving a hollow shell in its place. There's a stark shortage of non-commissioned officers, the backbone of any effective army. Instead, the front lines are filled with veterans past their prime. Fresh recruits with minimal training, minorities coerced into service, convicts, and even individuals suffering from chronic illnesses. All of this means that Russia's current fighting force is less potent than its reputation suggests. The soldiers sent to battle in Ukraine are not the highly skilled, motivated warriors of the past. Instead, they are a patchwork of less prepared fighters, many lacking the expertise to stand firm against a better organized, more disciplined opponent. The question lingers, will this weaken Russia enough to give Poland and its allies a fighting chance if the conflict erupts anew? Or is Russia hiding its real strength behind a decayed, overstretched facade? Russia's own military struggles mirror those in Ukraine, but the situation in Poland could be even more complex. Their poorly trained forces, composed of exhausted veterans, inexperienced recruits, minorities coerced into service, convicts, and soldiers with health issues, are no match for a better organized, smaller force. How will these weak links withstand a modern, fast-moving conflict? In Ukraine, this chaos has exposed deep vulnerabilities. The same chaos awaits if Russia attacks Poland. Yet, Poland has not been idle. The country has taken decisive steps to prepare for potential conflict. They've invested heavily in strengthening their military capabilities. A key part of their strategy is training a much larger pool of military-ready individuals, men and women, who know how to handle a rifle and respond effectively during crises. This effort aims to swell their active personnel to over 500,000 soldiers, including reservists. Poland's reserve force of 40,000 volunteers, along with standby units in various regions, is motivated and trained. These fighters are ready to defend their land if invasion occurs. Years of conflict in Ukraine have also worn down Russia's vast stockpiles. Their hardware has suffered setbacks, forcing commanders into desperate measures. Imagine rusty tanks pulled from Soviet-era storage, including old T-62s first produced in 1961, and even outdated T-55s from the late 1940s. Modern tanks like the T-90M exist, but economic hardship and overwhelmed infrastructure limit their numbers. Russia's struggling to rebuild and ramp up production. So, despite Russia's larger arsenal, more tanks, aircraft, and artillery, the quality of their equipment has suffered. Many tanks have design flaws incompatible with today's highly advanced combat environment. Their armor technology is aging and less effective. If Russia were to march on Warsaw, would their tanks withstand modern battlefield demands? Or would the weaknesses in their gear turn the invasion into a costly failure? The real question remains, can quantity compensate for the declining quality? As the history of modern warfare warns us, victory is not solely about numbers. Small, well-trained forces can defeat larger armies when technology, strategy, and morale align. Poland's recent improvements may not have Russia's sheer manpower, but their readiness could tip the scales in ways no one expects. This is the deadly game of power and preparedness, where the smallest details, rusty tanks, poorly trained soldiers, could determine who walks away victorious. The true battle isn't just fought with guns and tanks, but with strategy, will, and the odds stacked against those who believe numbers alone will win the day. Russia's tanks might outnumber Poland's by thousands, but imagine the thunder of poorly armored beasts charging forward, only to shatter against foes with cutting-edge tech it's barely prepared for. In our last stretch, we saw Russia's massive edge in numbers, from manpower to tanks, seemingly unbeatable. Yet cracks in its armor appeared, with outdated designs unfit for modern battle, while Poland floors with American Abrams, boasting 366 of these Titans from the United States, 250 sleek M1A2 SEP V3S and 116 sturdy M1A1S. These machines roar with supremacy, their thermal sights piercing night like predatory eyes, ready to dominate any clash. But hold that battle growl. Is quality finally trumpeting over quantity in this hypothetical 2026 war? Soldiers huddle in foxholes, mud clinging to their boots, as outdated Russian optics flicker weakly, blinding operators to advancing threats. Poland's Abrams pulse with advanced electronics, superior battlefield management systems, and precision targeting that leaves Kremlin's relics in the dust. Can these ancient vulnerabilities truly cripple Russia's charge? Now, let's talk artillery, that deafening rumble of shells raining down, earthquaking under the onslaught. Russia brags colossal numbers of self-propelled and towed systems, tens of thousands strong, rocketing barrages that once smashed foes. But Ukraine's grind has hollowed vital stocks, massive ammunition shortages echo in the chaos, with top guns damaged or incinerated by counterfire and drone swarms buzzing like angry hornets. Can Russia's once feared volleys sustain a fresh assault on Warsaw? Or will they fizzle into fragmented failures? Meanwhile, Poland doesn't just hunker, it surges with resolve, hearts pounding in the face of oncoming storm. While Europe dithers, Warsaw explodes its defense budget, bursting from 2.7% of GDP in 2022 to 4.7% by 2025, crowning NATO's spending crown. The smell of gunpowder lingers in airfields, as smart investments forge a fortress. Watching Ukraine's agony, Polish commanders allocate funds with iron precision, guarding against the beast next door. Their gains gleam, amplifying power against giants. In the skies, fighter jets and helicopters clash, rotors thrumming like vengeful storms. But on the ground, Poland's purchase of K2 Black Panther tanks from South Korea turns tides. Their sleek hulls whisper future dominance, blending mobility with lethal force. Widely hailed as today's pinnacle of tank tech, these beasts counter Russia's quantity with cutting-edge might. And yet, what shocking twist hides in Poland's arsenal, ready to humiliate the Kremlin? As Russian T-90Ms labor under production woes, their engines groaning from wartime strain, will Warsaw's beasts deliver a crushing defeat, or does Putin's machine hide untapped fury? Picture the eerie calm before invasion's roar. Can Poland's armored elite truly shatter the myth of invincibility? Delving deeper, Poland's Air Force screams defiance with fewer than 500 aircraft, including a handful of fighter jets and over 200 helicopters, dwarfs against Russia's 4,000-plus fleet, more than 800 fighters, hundreds of transports, 1,600 choppers, and 550 attack variants. But Ukrainian lessons sharpen Polish edges. Defense forces, thick with trained volunteers, stand ready, rifles clutched in calloused hands, winds carrying the scent of preparedness. Russia's naval might looms too, deploying from Baltic bases with over 400 vessels, 60 submarines, 80 corvettes, and destroyers that cleave waves. Poland's modest flotilla of about 60 ships lacks heavy hitters, vulnerable to coastal raids. Yet, in this brewing storm, Poland's alliances amplify strength, turning potential victims into vigilant sentinels. Touch your screen, heart racing. Could Poland humiliate Russia, carving a path from underdog to victor in 2026? Explosions flash, echoing through forests and cities, as the unexpected unfolds. Can Warsaw's smart upgrades unleash a torrent that washes away the enemy's numerical horde? The battlefield whispers secrets of revolution, but one question ignites it all. Will Putin's battered warriors stumble onto earthly annihilation, or emerge reborn from the inferno? The threat of conflict looms over Europe like a dark storm cloud. Poland, nestled between the East and West, has been quietly preparing for the nightmare scenario of a Russian invasion. But is its arsenal enough to hold the might of a superpower? Could Poland's strategic upgrades really turn the tide when the storm breaks? Or will they still be no match against Russia's relentless, monstrous war machine? Let's dive deep into the brutal reality of military power. Russia's forces sit near the top of the global rankings. With over 1.3 million active soldiers, and reserves swelling to millions, it's a colossal army. They've amassed more than 4,000 aircraft, fighter jets, transport planes, helicopters, attack helicopters, an air force so formidable, it almost seems unreal. On the seas, Russia's navy spans over 400 vessels, including dozens of submarines and a fleet that could threaten Poland's coast at any moment. Meanwhile, Poland's strength is smaller but steadily growing. With just over 200,000 troops and a reserve of 350,000, they're betting on smarter, more modern warfare. A recent plan by Warsaw aims to train millions more, transforming ordinary citizens into soldiers. It's a desperate bid to match Russia's raw numbers. Their military budget is growing, focusing heavily on technology and innovation, modern tanks, drones, and missile systems. But here's the shocking truth: numbers don't tell the full story. Russia's battered tanks, some over 60 years old, still outnumber Polish tanks significantly. Russia's main battle tanks, like the T-90M, are powerful but riddled with flaws and outdated designs. Many are rusting warehouses relics, not fit for modern combat. Poland has bought cutting-edge tanks like the South Korean K2 Black Panther, considered among the best today, powerful enough to challenge Russia's obsolete armor. They also operate American-made M1A2 Set V3 and M1A1 Abrams tanks, alongside German Leopard 2 PLs, creating an all-star lineup of armored firepower. By 2030, Poland plans to field nearly 1,000 main battle tanks, backed by advanced artillery and infantry fighting vehicles. Their arsenal of K9 Thunder artillery, and modern anti-air systems like Patriot batteries, makes their defense a complex web of modern warfare. Their fighters aren't just defensive, they're offensive. F-16s and upcoming F-35s will dominate the skies, ready to strike at their enemies. Their radar networks and missile defenses form a multi-layered shield against incoming threats. Yet, despite all their efforts, the question remains, will modern tanks and planes be enough? Russia's vast resources, its enormous population, extensive industrial base, and overwhelming force, still give it an advantage. Its war in Ukraine has drained much of its strength, revealing cracks in its armor. Many of Russia's veteran soldiers have fallen. Its military's quality has suffered as a result. Imagine the chaos if Russia launched an attack on Poland. Would their numbers compensate for their outdated equipment? Would their battered soldiers, experienced in grinding warfare, be enough to overcome a more motivated and modernized Polish force? Or could Poland's strategic resilience and technological edge tip the balance? The battle of the future isn't just about firepower, it's about innovation, willpower, and the unpredictable twists of war. The ultimate question remains, will Poland's modern armies be enough to face the relentless might of Russia? Or will the storm of war sweep across the plains, leaving destruction in its wake? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, the fight for Europe's future is already beginning, and no one can afford to ignore the rising tension. Imagine the thunderous roar of engines, the acrid stench of burning fuel mixing with the damp earth beneath, as if the ground itself is trembling under a relentless assault. Can Russia truly shatter Poland's fortress-like defenses, or will Warsaw unleash a humiliating counterstrike that exposes the Kremlin's crumbling facade? Picture swarms of buzzing drones piercing the sky, their high-pitched whirs cutting through the air like angry wasps, while ballistic missiles unleash explosive chaos aimed at pulverizing vital structures. Yet Poland stands defiant, its e-shield a tangible barrier of steel and surveillance, a billion-dollar bulwark fortified since 2024, transforming any invasion into a nightmarish quagmire for the invaders. Building on the stark reality that Russia's quantitative edge in tanks belies critical flaws, amplified by years of relentless warfare, Poland's defenses amplify every vulnerability, turning potential battlegrounds into arenas of calculated retribution. Hear the distant hum of approaching threats, feel the vibrations through your boots on the soil, as odor wafers the air with the sharp tang of ozone from intercepted launches. Would Poland's resolve crumble under Russia's opening barrage of cheap Shahed drones and searing missile volleys targeting vulnerable radar towers and command hubs? Or could this be the moment where Warsaw's layered strategy unmasks a foe already battered by its own mistakes? Russia might gamble on chaos, dispatching vast flocks of unmanned dreads and rapid-fired projectiles to dismantle Poland's guardianship, audaciously probing weak spots near the border. The E-shield, a grand tapestry of mingled defenses, anti-tank moats etched like scars in the terrain, camouflaged shelters rife with the musty scent of hidden resolve, jammed with AI centers pulsing with electric vigilance and pervasive radar grids that whisper secrets of incoming perils, waits patiently. It's not mere metal, it's a living network, infused with American Patriot launchers and CAMM interceptors, delivering pinpoint data on every weapon's trajectory, velocity, altering the very fabric of combat. This initiative, poised to escalate to over $2.55 billion in investment by completion, embodies Poland's unyielding foresight. Physical barricades intertwine with electronic webs, anti-drone meshes humming with disruptive energy, all scanning ceaselessly to snuff out any shadow of invasion. Every investment renders crossing a grueling ordeal, where Russia's typical tactics, from Ukraine's sprawling convoys rolling blindly forward to artillery barrages exploding in plumes of dust and fire, would funnel straight into traps, their paths preordained like veins leading to slaughter. Is this the twist where Russia's vaunted hordes, once trampling lesser foes, find themselves ensnared in Poland's web, their advances stymied, forcing a retreat in ignominious defeat? That potential humiliation arches through the air, palpable in the heat of imagined explosions, as Poland counterstrikes viciously. Anticipating such assaults for eons, Warsaw has rehearsed to perfection, its defenses igniting like a storm. Layer upon layer erupts, CAMM interceptors snarling upward to pluck Russia's projectiles from the heavens, Patriot batteries unleashing torrents of flame and fury, eradicating most, if not all, aerial assailants. The crack of gunfire echoes, the earth shuddering under celebratory volleys, as F-16 squadrons, those sleek guardians with identification number EFF-16, scramble like predatory falcons to dismantle lingering remnants, their engines shrieking into the fray. Smell the charred remnants, touch the gritty aftermath clinging to skin, while rhetorical wonders arise. How does a superpower, bruised and bent, endure such a dismantling, or is this Warsaw's unforeseen vengeance? On the soil below, the narrative twists further, Russia's ground incursions mirroring Ukraine's reckless gambits, probing for footholds in a land bristling with hidden threats. Would Poland's fortifications, a maze of ditches and bunkers resonating with the earthy musk of fortified earth, humiliate the invaders utterly, or could unexpected valor from a smaller force reshape the tide? The emotional crescendo builds, conflicted hearts racing, as Poland's strategic depth, partners like Germany and NATO allies lending intangible strength, crackles with quiet intensity. But the climax teeters on a knife's edge. If Russia pushes deeper, exploiting any lapse in Warsaw's vigilance, will the invaders reclaim dominance, or is Poland's unity an unbreakable shield, exposing Russia's desperation and inviting allies to tip the scales? Feel the chill of anticipation, the tactile grip of tension winding tighter. As the battlefield whispers promises of redemption or ruin. What unthinkable betrayal lies in wait as forces collide, rewriting maps with blood and bravery? Imagine a thunderous clash that could reshape the world, Russia's massive military machine unleashed against Poland. With tanks, armies, and artillery, the Kremlin's forces are poised to march. But what if Poland's defenses, backed by an alliance stronger than steel, turn the tide? Can NATO's unseen power protect this eastern fortress, or will the shadows of war plunge Europe into chaos? Previous parts showed Russia's overwhelming strength, countless tanks, hundreds of aircraft, and a navy rivaling the world's top. Yet, numbers tell only part of the story. The battlefield is more complex: smoke and steel, fear and resolve. Poland's small but fierce forces prepare to strike back, with a plan that could change everything. As Russia rolls forward, a cloud of rust and heat from aging tanks trails behind. Many of Russia's most advanced vehicles, T-90 MiZ, are few and far between, their scarcity a stark contrast to the hundreds of outdated T-55s and T-62s pulled from cold Soviet storages. Imagine the metallic clangs and the heavy scent of oil as these relics grind into battle, obsolete, yet still deadly. The question, will these vintage steel giants succeed, or become mere shadows against Polish resilience? Meanwhile, Poland mobilizes. The air thickens with tension and anticipation. Military trainers prepare new recruits, volunteers from across the nation, training relentlessly, their hands trembling on rifles, eyes fixed on the horizon. Thousands of seasoned volunteers, part of the territorial defense, stand ready, knowing the stakes are higher than ever. The buzz of military drills fills the air, blending with the sharp scent of anticipation. But can raw training and brave hearts withstand Russia's vast, brutal force? Russia's forces, wounded, exhausted, still hustle to gather their strength. Years of conflict with Ukraine have drained their resources. Rusty tanks and worn-out aircraft are being rushed into service, the old gear echoing like ghostly memories of Soviet might. Their modern T-90 MS are few, hampered by economic woes and production delays. It's a paradox: more tanks, but less quality. Would a wave of these aging machines be enough to break Polish defenses? Or would they falter, caught in a modern battlefield that demands speed and precision? Beyond the ground, the skies pose another challenge. Russia's fleet of over 4,000 aircraft, including fighters, transport planes, and attack helicopters like the formidable Yak-141, looms ominously. The roar of engines and the rumble of missiles fill the air, but Poland's small air force, less than 500 aircraft, stands on alert. How would the clash unfold above, where the roar of jets and the sting of anti-aircraft fire decide the fate of nations? Would Poland's limited skies hold out against Russia's formidable aerial assault? Overlaying this harsh reality is the unbreakable shield of NATO. It's the ultimate game-changer, an alliance that turns a nightmare into a fortress. Imagine the moment an invasion begins, faint sounds of distant alarms, the tension mounting. Once Article 5 awakens, the world's most powerful armies mobilize, from the United States to France and Germany. Their response? Instant and overwhelming. Warsaw knows this well. NATO's support could mean the difference between defeat and victory. Can Poland hold its ground alone, or is victory only possible as part of this formidable alliance? What if Russia, despite its massive army, faces not just resistance but total annihilation? The idea of a direct clash ignites fears not just of conventional war but of escalation into the unknown. With the world on edge, the question hangs heavy: will diplomacy prevail, or will the war ignite nuclear and push humanity to the brink? This is more than a story of armies and weapons, it's a chess match with stakes higher than ever. The outcome could ripple across continents, rewriting history in the smoke and fire of war. Will Poland withstand the storm, or will the shadows of conflict swallow Europe in chaos? The answer remains hidden in the fog of future battles yet to unfold. Yet another bloody battle rages on the frozen fields. Polish forces, bolstered by NATO's mighty arsenal, dismantle Russian tanks. Armor crumples under artillery fire. Smoke chokes the air. Engines roar in vain. Retreat beckons for Moscow's armies. So, can the Kremlin truly unleash its nuclear doom? Russia claims the globe's largest arsenal of warheads. Yet NATO fields nuclear giants too. Would Putin venture into mutual annihilation? The blast could erase continents. Ashes fall like silent snow. Cities crumble in radioactive haze. In the end, this fight spells zero hope for Russia. Not one sliver of victory remains. Poland stands armed to the teeth, far stronger now. NATO's unbreakable shield looms behind Warsaw. Intelligence swirls like a storm. Manpower floods the ranks. Logistics weave an iron web. Weapons rain down in precision fury. But here's the twist that chills the bones: what if NATO fractures from within? A rogue ally sabotages the plan. Panic erupts in command bunkers. Whispers of betrayal echo through secure lines. Poland's edge vanishes in a blink. And in this chaos, Russia senses opportunity. Its fleets advance once more. Doom circles like vultures, waiting to strike. Will the alliance hold? Or will the world shatter anew?